Welcome to the Contractor Freedom Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Phillips. This show exists to help small business owners like you escape the tyranny of contractor prison and enter the bliss of contractor freedom so you can have the time, money, and freedom to live your life with purpose beyond your business. As a certified human behavior consultant in DISC personality styles and motivators, I'll be sharing with you skills for life, love, leadership, and business. I'll also be connecting you with experts that can help you scale your business and your life. So if you want to build the business and life of your dreams, then you are in the right place. Let's go. Hello, contractors. We've got a great episode for you today. I have with me today Mr. Joe Covarrubias. He is the shy, quiet type. No, for those of you that know Joe, no, he's not the shy, quiet type. Joe's our VP, and he has been training the salespeople at our home improvement company for I think 8 years now.
8 years, yeah.
And so we're going to learn some insights from Joe so that you can take your sales organization to higher levels. Hey, Joe, welcome to the show today.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here. I always love visiting with you on a different level other than a boss-employee relationship. I love just sharing and chatting, so thank you for having me.
I'm glad you were able to take some time out of VP prison. No, so you've trained quite a few salespeople. And the reason we're doing this episode today is because so many of our business owner friends are at the place where they've hired their first salesperson, and the new salesperson, for whatever reason, can't seem to close the deal like the business owner. And I thought we might diagnose for them some possible things of what could be going on. Okay. So, what would be the first thing, if a guy comes and said, hey, Joe, my new salesperson, he's not closing deals like I was. Can you help me diagnose it? What's the first thing you would look at?
Well, the first thing I would look at is, I've been real fortunate to kind of go on this journey with you of the behavior profiles. And when I first started as a sales manager here at Phillips, I wasn't as educated as I was, and I was just hiring guys who had the gift of gab, just sales guys, right? But as I've been along on this journey with you with regard to behavior profile, that'd be the first question I ask. What is this guy's? Is he in a seat is he in the right seat? I mean, be a great guy. He may be his DISC profile may be a sales profile, but it could be a long sales cycle. There's different sales. And here at Phillips, we try to nurture a one-call close environment, and there's a certain profile that does that. So if they're not closing OTS on the spot, that's probably the first place out.
Is their personality profile. Interesting. Something near and dear to my heart.
Yeah, exactly.
It makes me think about if we look at external things and we look at like sports,
right?
There's a typical physique of someone who's winning medals in swimming,
right?
And from their height, their leg length versus their upper body length, and then their lungs. It's the same thing for like marathon runners,
sure.
And let's say basketball players or sumo wrestlers or boxers,
right?
Or it's like in any professional sport, for let's say individual sports for now, there are some typical physiques or body makeups that put you at an advantage automatically.
Edge, yeah.
The other guys can still outwork you and work harder than you, but there's things that give you the edge. And it's kind of like that. It's like personalities.
Right.
And I'll never forget one of the times that this really hit home to me was when we were initially teaching the team how to knock on the door. And one of the things we want to do is we show up with a clipboard with our paper, right? And it's got both property owners on it, typically a husband and a wife, and we don't know who's answering the door. But in a scenario, if the husband answers the door and our paperwork says that we're supposed to meet with John and Jane, then we need to, say, well, hey, Mr. Covarrubias, I see I'm supposed to be meeting with you and Jane. Is Jane available? And that question, when I was working with people that had the wrong personality style, that question scared the crap out of them.
If you don't have the right profile, it can be uncomfortable.
But it's such a simple.
It's simple. With our sales, there's a series of what we call SALT. And at our last boot camp that we had here, that you guys were at the boot camp, you remember us talking about trying to get 3 yards at a time or 3.5 yards at a time. And throughout the sales, at the end of each, let's just call it a step, there's a soft close. And that's your 3 yards. And your first soft close is getting both people at the table.
Their full focus.
Yeah, that's their full focus.
Of all owners.
That's the first soft close. And if you start your appointment or you start your set off or whatever you call it without being able to get that first commitment, the other 6 commitments are going to be really tough, because at the end, you're going to ask them to get on your schedule. And if you can't ask for the second party, it's going to be real hard to ask for a $40,000 interior,
Yeah, exactly. So, you've hit on something else, is if we don't line up a great appointment, if we can't get their focus, the kids are running around, or they're distracted by taking, their animal or a phone call. If we can't have their focus, it's going to be hard to get any commitments, to get the project done, to trust us, to want it our way, our value, all of that.
It is. And, the beautiful thing about, our workflow here at Phillips is, which you quoted it today to the leadership team, this reinforcement. We start that process of getting both parties there as soon as the customer calls in. And by the time we knock on the door, whether it's that day, many times it's the same day, which guys prefer because they're ready to buy if it's a same day appointment. We reinforce the importance of having all parties.
So Joe, what are some, let's say you hire a sales guy, and this plays into the why your new guy isn't closing like he should. What are some telltale signs on day one or week one that this guy or gal, really, we say salesmen, but saleswomen do really well in this industry as well. What are some early warning signs that you shouldn't ignore?
Okay. I probably do things a little bit different. It may come across as harsh. What I do is, when I feel like I have a strong candidate to join the superstars here at Phillips, I invite them on Friday to come in. That's a sales meeting day right now, and to just join the sales meeting, help the guys. At that Friday meeting, I introduce them to their first script, that door knock, and I go over the script with them. I actually let them video me doing the script. I have them record me, and basically what I tell them is, learn it on Friday, love it on Saturday, and be able to live it on Sunday. Because I'm not teaching them a task, I'm teaching them a way of life throughout their career here at Phillips. And I tell them they have till 9 o'clock Monday morning. They're welcome to call me over the weekend. They're welcome to it. And I remember, they're walking away with a video, recording, and the actual script. There have been a number of times where I've let the candidate go at 9 o'clock because he did not study the script. It may seem a little harsh, but right now, I think the last Facebook Live we did, we talked about the cost per lead and those assets. Before we start sinking $1,000, $1,500 a day in these candidates, we have to know they're going to do the homework. First sign, if they don't get that first script over the weekend,
will they put in the work? So, Joe, are you giving them like a whole book? Tell everybody, I know what you're giving them, but are you giving them a whole script book? How big is this?
I'm giving them one. I should count the words. I don't know.
It's like 10 sentences.
Yeah, it's just 10 sentences. The purpose of that script is basically to get the prospect's time and attention.
Yeah.
That's all we're trying to do.
So you're saying that if a guy shows up and he hasn't given it the effort over the weekend, at 9 o'clock, you're cutting him loose. Because if
I pay him for the day.
Of course.
I pay him for the day, but I have our training measured by the hour of the day. There's a certain number. I don't do days and I don't do weeks. I do hours, because there is a countdown that first hour, and there is no time to waste.
Because you need to have them running their first appointment how soon?
In 3 weeks. I want them running their first contract in 3 weeks.
In 3 weeks. Okay.
Yeah. And so the training is real flux. There's some ride-alongs, there's scripting, there's homework. Let's just say I say we got to get them going, and that includes the time they sleep too. Those are working hours. That's how many hours we have, right? Because you're invested in a marketing team. They are doing their job. Sure, we have the leads for us to issue, and they're on a clock too. It's April 4th. We're in the middle of it. There's no time to waste.
That's right.
Yeah.
So on the opposite end, on that end, some telltale signs early on is they didn't put in the work. What if they put in the work and they still can't get it?
Can you give me for instance?
Say they're really struggling with learning a script. Because, you said learn it, love it, live it, right? So you've met a few people that no matter how hard they tried, they were just struggling with scripts. And how did that work out?
It doesn't work out well. They might be great guys. They might have experience. They might have all of that. But what we call TBW, the Phillips way, is that we're scripted in our sales process. I can't ride along with every one of the guys, and our 2 sales managers can't ride along with the guys on so we have some resources that help us find out if they're following that script. It's a world-class presentation. It is a script.
So, Joe, a script, does that mean they sound like robots?
No, not at all. See, Jason, what you have to understand is that this is a $420 billion industry, and a third of that money is spent to go back and redo what's previously been done, according to the Harvard Joint Center on Housing Studies.
Indeed.
Jason, I just gave you a script. Did it sound like one?
No, it didn't. It was a familiar one.
But it's conversational. I teach them how to be conversational. I teach them how to use voice inflections, maybe do a few theatrics with their glasses. There are some things that we teach to give a world-class presentation.
Okay, so we've talked about a couple early warning signs. What about probably goes for all positions? How about they're showing up for work late on their first week?
That's a no. It doesn't work.
What about they have drama emergencies and they have to leave work early? The dog, the cat, the mother-in-law, the wife, the whoever.
We have a lot of influences here at Phillips. And you've talked about them before. Brian Tracy, Zig Ziglar, Dave Ramsey's one, and in his book Entree Leadership, there's like almost a whole chapter on drama. We just don't do drama here. We just don't. It's not for everybody.
That's right. That's right. So if we were to break down some keys to success, we already talked about. You brought up the right personality, and maybe we should stick on that for a second.
Okay.
That's the first key today is the right personality. Now, when we're looking for salespeople, we know that our buyers, our prospects are most likely going to make a pretty quick decision. And we also know that there are, we call them ravens, the unscrupulous contractors willing to say and do anything to get the contract,
right,
that are out there trying to steal that or get that and get those customers and not treat them well. We don't have a lot of time to close the sale. So when it comes to, personalities, okay, we're talking DISC personality styles here. What styles are you looking for?
Okay. For a number of years, I really focus on a D. That takes a lot of coaching because they can sometimes come across abrasive or something. Well, the pros and cons.
Are you saying I'm abrasive?
No, I'm not saying that at all, sir. You heard it right here on the Contractor Freedom. No, you're not. But there's a D. There's a DI. We'll call it what we call a dynamo. And then there's an ID, which is an influencer persuader, which is one of my favorites. Those three profiles are really prone to succeed in a one-call close environment. A D, a DI, and an ID. Now, there's pros and cons to all of those. The D, like I said, can come across a little abrasive. The ID can maybe have a little challenge with follow-up. They all have their own little, but if you know the profile, you study the profile, you know how to coach them through that.
Yeah, okay, got it. So,
I think I should say that all three of those have the letter D in it, the dominance factor. Whether the D's first or the D's second, those profiles have the makeup to ask for the order on the first call.
And that D's got to be above the middle or the energy line.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, we've got our contractor friends, our Contractor Freedom family, friends. There's a lot of the business owners that are currently doing the sales are not high D people. Some of them are. Some of you guys are, gals are. Some are SCs, CSs. And what advice would you give to them if they're the ones currently doing the selling?
I would definitely, number one, what I've learned with our Contractor Freedom friends is that some of them really haven't found or adopted a sales process that fits them, okay, or fits their workflow. I would say if you're in a position to start looking for your salesman, saleswoman, to consider those profiles that we discussed. But the SCs and what was the other one? The SCs and the Z?
The SCs and the ISs.
Okay. Very sweet, talkative, supportive people, right?
Yes.
And I feel like one could sell with those. It may take a little longer, but the people will fall in love with them. They'll their prospects will fall in love with them for sure. But and it's not to say that their D isn't like at a 30 or a 40. It just takes a little bit more for them to muster up that courage to ask for that sale, because below the midline it starts to drain us.
Yeah.
And it starts to become uncomfortable, and you get to where you're not appreciating what you're doing.
Yep.
And so, but there's a lot of role play with that, and that's the beauty of having a sales process, is that you can practice it. You can just practice it and time after time after time. And so you don't have to come up with something different every time you knock on the door. You know where you're going. You know what you're saying. I have a new recruit now. I have two that I'm really excited about. One of them asked me just last night. We happened to both be at the office after hours, and he said he's And he said, he's an IT. And he says, I'm drowning. I'm having a little trouble with the follow-up. That is 100% that. And so what we've done is he and I both have agreed to be at the office. I told him, hey, man, I'll roll up my sleeves with you. We'll be here at the office at 8 o'clock. And we have a couple of other new recruits. And so they're all coming in at 8 o'clock. And I said, okay, this is what we're going to do now. This is what we're going to do now. And this is what. So the same thing with the ISs. You've got to get to the office early and practice and reinforce. And you can be an IS. The fact that you're an I, you can talk to people. But with the right script, it doesn't come across pushy. And just like it's saying, hi, my name is Joe. I'm with Phillips. When you get down to the closing table, would you like to get on the schedule? It's just a script. It's just a question. And the worst possible thing they can say is no.
Is no.
Yep.
Let's see. I think there was a famous guy who said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Who said that? Was that Michael Jordan?
I think so.
Or was it Wayne Gretzky?
Maybe Wayne Gretzky.
Maybe both of them. So, I've got a piece of advice for you guys that want to close your deals faster and you don't feel like you're the right sales personality. Okay. Well, if you're currently doing the sales and, you're eventually going to hire someone to do the sales, then, you can hire the right personality style for your sales process. I want to make a disclaimer here that what's appropriate for us in our sales process may not be appropriate for yours. If you have a multi-step consultative sales process, especially if there's lots of committees or decision makers, you might need a different personality style. But for us, we're dealing with homeowners. So there's really only one or two interested people, and they make decisions pretty quick. They don't have to go consult the budget committee or something like that. And it doesn't we don't have to go through like design phase and all of this stuff. We're not dealing with architects and plans and all of that. So it's a pretty simple sales process for us. So my tip for you is, I'm going to give you an example. Okay. One day, David at our office was going to be Roller Man. Roller Man is our mascot. Okay. And David's a great guy, and in a work environment, he's typically fairly reserved. And so for whatever he was going to be Roller Man, he was going to put the costume on this day. It's kind of like the Chick-fil-A cow, but it's our Roller Man. And I don't know if he was already going to do this or if what I said to him made a difference, but I'm going to tell you what I said to him. Right as he's getting all buttoned up and he's about to put the huge head on. And I said, David, as soon as you put that head on, you have permission to be a completely different person. You're now Roller Man. You can act and say and do things that David wouldn't normally do, because all the people you're going to meet today are not even going to know who you are. And so anyways, he put it on and he did an amazing job. I'm like, man, I've never seen this David before. So my point is this: when you are going on a sales call, maybe you don't have a high D. Maybe you are a little slower paced sometimes, and your client is maybe a faster paced person, or maybe they're not. You have permission to put on the persona of a professional home improvement salesperson that's a master of their tools. And you can ask questions that you wouldn't normally ask. If you give yourself that permission and say, right before you go into the house, just close your eyes, take a deep breath, and now say, okay, we got to come up with a name. Who am I? I am now super salesperson.
Super salesperson.
And boom, click it and get out of your vehicle, walk up to the door and be something totally else. Because guess what? Here's the deal. This is the truth. You're on stage. You are on stage, just like it's Broadway or Hollywood. Okay, you're on stage, and your prospect needs your best performance. Not that you're trying to fake them or trick them.
Be real.
And it's just like, our sales methodology that we teach is a football theme. And one of the things that we teach is we need to keep, moving the ball forward slowly towards the end zone. And the point is that the teams, when they go to run a play to move the ball, they don't just get in the huddle and go, hey, you run here, you run there, you block this guy.
Yep.
Okay. No, they have specific plays that they have rehearsed and rehearsed and rehearsed and rehearsed time and time again. And so they're going to run that play. And if we will rehearse like that, then we can give a great performance every time. So let's move on a second from personality style. The second key, I feel, to success is mindset. Joe, give me an example of a great mindset that every person in sales should have.
I'll take it to the interview. All the way to the interview.
Okay.
When they come in and they have, I believe at the QR 500, I'd heard, I forget who it was talking about. A lot of guys in our industry have professional resumes. I mean, they're the best. They're resume artists, right? And they talk about all the things that they do. And so what I do is I go down their list of previous jobs, and and I just, hey, well, what happened here? What was going on here? What happened? Sometimes, well, I moved. My wife got transferred, and those are okay. But if you ask the right questions, just like you would a homeowner, you'll get the truth. And a lot of them have a victim mentality. And when you come in with a victim mentality, you'll never be a victor. Does that make sense?
It does.
And the victim mentality is the leads were bad. My manager was a bad manager. I didn't like the way they did things. And one of the things I always ask the question, what attracted you to Phillips? To the culture. It's the culture. It's the culture. And so you got to be real careful about letting that victim mentality infiltrate your culture, right? So that's the first thing. They cannot be a victim. They can't be a victim of bad leads, because it's going to be a whole 6 weeks before your leads turn bad. Everybody else in the room can be doing great, but they're getting the bad leads. So a victim mentality, I usually can, and I use the word sniff it out pretty quick. And if they have a victim mentality, they're not going to be a fit here. They're not going to be a fit here. So the mindset is that of a victor. One of the things that, and I'm just going to be 100% transparent here, is, we're not tracking like we want to be here at Phillips right now. And it's April. We're not tracking like I'd like for us to be. I'd like for us to be better. Of course, we always want it to be better. And I was talking to the team, and I just said, guys, I was talking to them just yesterday. I was saying, guys, this is kind of uncharted water for us, because we haven't, we're not tracking like we want. And they started throwing a lot of outside influences as to why. It's the economy, it's the election year, it's the war, and that very well could be true. Very well could be true. But if we're not reinforcing our process and our methodology with the role play, those things just become excuses, right? So you have to have a mindset of being coachable, a mindset of being disciplined. We can teach skills. We can teach scoping, we can teach methodology. We cannot teach hunger, and we cannot teach discipline.
That's right. That's good. That's good stuff, Joe. The mindset. Okay, so our first one we had was personality match, have the right mindset, and let's talk about the tool set.
Okay.
So obviously every salesperson in the home improvement industry needs a measuring tape, and a clipboard, measuring wheel maybe a computer, an iPad. What are some other tools?
Are you talking about actual
No,
just exactly. Show them a tool belt. I mean, no, the tools, and I hate to sound like a broken record, but there's a script for everything. There's a script, and not all of them are closing scripts. Not all of them are closing. We're going to close this guy. I've got all these closing techniques. I've got all this. The tools are helping our tools are designed to help the homeowner make the best possible decision for their home. Again, teaching the young guys this morning, the newer guys, this is their homes. This is not a job site. It's not a project. Especially you get somebody my age, you're always making fun of my age, where a man's worked 35 years for his most valuable investment. And the best way to show rapport, the best way to build rapport is to show how much they care about their home. And there are ways to do that. And again, I know I keep saying scripts, but these scripts are our bloodline, for our sales process. And what it is, a way to draw out questions. You and I were having the discussion. Well, you were telling me, okay, you were yelling at me, Joe, telling is not selling. Right? Let's just be honest here. Telling is not selling.
I learned that from Brian Tracy about 30 years ago.
It's asking questions. And that is the biggest, I'd say one of the best tools we have is the ability to ask questions. And so what I've done, I've kind of incorporated this in our methodology on their project worksheets, because I'm finding out our guys are talking 59% of the time, 62% of the time. Every once in a while we get in the low 40s, which is decent, because we're talking, again, to go back to the Sandler, it needs to be 30-70. We need to be talking 30% of the time. And we ask open-ended questions and get the prospect to talk 70% of the time. But the only way you can do that is asking questions. And so what I told the new guys today, this morning, I'm having such a great time. You caught me at a real good time, because I'm training, it's spring, and I'm like, man, it's just all fresh, right? So they get their project worksheets, and what I've told them is tell them to, when you ask a question, just put a little, when you get to 20 questions, you should be ready to start working on it. So I want them to ask at least 20 questions.
So Joe, how do you ask 20 questions without making the prospect feel like they're being interrogated?
Hey, Jason, how long has it been like that?
About a year.
Okay. Have you had anybody else look at it?
No, not yet. You're the first one, Joe.
Oh, okay. Now, have you worked with a professional contractor before?
We had our floors redone a couple years ago.
How did that go?
It could have been better. I mean, the end result was fine, but yeah.
How many people did you interview for that job?
Like 5.
Okay. Listen to the question again. Not how many bids did you get. How many people did you interview for that job?
5.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Hey, have you talked to her about what color y'all going to do here yet?
No, I think she wants to change it though.
Okay. So those are the kind of questions. Those are just, you just keep asking questions, and there's questions about we call it layering. Okay, it's called layering. You layer the question. You're layering it. So, there's not. When are you going to buy? I've heard guys go out there. Well, what's your budget for this project? I've heard questions like that, and they just totally get defensive. The more you layer and the more you ask, the more open the rapport increases.
Yeah. So when you ask questions, you're the one that's in control.
Absolutely.
And if they've got a list of questions they're asking you, then they are in control. So the tools, obviously there's the obvious tools, but then the one tool, and you got it, was having the selling system. And a lot of that is scripts. And it's not just scripts, but it's the steps by which you're going to hold that customer's hand and walk them right through the buying cycle. And what I'm finding is that
it's a finesse.
It is.
You're finessing.
But most home improvement companies don't understand this. They don't understand it. They confuse estimating with selling. And really, estimating is maybe a component of sales, but in our business, we don't even do estimates. We provide accurate written proposals, right?
Accurate written proposals.
Yeah. So personality style match, the right mindset, the right tool set, okay, and then the skill set is, how to use the tools. Mm-hmm. What else would you add to that?
My mind is totally racing. I would add a lot of things to that, Jason. I would add so much to that. I think that there's a faith part to this, if I can share that.
Sure, absolutely.
There's a faith part to this. Our HR director, Jennifer, a lot of you guys know Jennifer. When we bring a new person on, Jennifer we just kind of bring them into our morning stand-up, our leadership stand-up, and she tells that new teammate, you are the perfect fit. We prayed for the perfect fit for this position. And so I know a lot of you guys are men of faith. I know you pray over your businesses, but you pray for that right person to come in who can. Here's the word that I've started using just last year, believe it or not, is you want somebody that's going to come in. Number one, you don't want anybody to come in and try something. Don't let them come in and try something. You need to get a commitment from them that they are going to come in to commit to your process. Not only commit, but what I've learned is they can commit yet not embrace. You have to embrace the process, embrace the vision.
It's a new way of life.
It's a new way of life. That's why I tell them, when I teach these scripts and when I teach, I wish we could come up with a more meaningful relationship with, but it's truly a life skill because there's not tasks that you check off. That doorknob, you will do the rest of and many of them still do. I have to bring them in,
So why not get amazing at it?
Why not get amazing? And it's not going to change.
So there's a skill set in learning the scripts. Skills can be learned and taught, right? You can learn that. Then there's how to recognize the buying patterns in your prospect, how to observe how they're sitting, where they're sitting, how they're holding their hands, what hand gestures are they using,
where are they sitting,
how tidy is their home, how do they keep their yard, what kind of cars do they drive, what kind of clothes are they, they buttoned up, wearing a bow tie, or are they all relaxed? Are they speaking fast and loud or soft, or are they speaking details? So once you know your tool sets so well, you can use all of your eyes and your ears to take in data points that are going to help you learn about your prospect and help you tailor your communication to them.
Yeah, and who's running the table at the closing table?
You and I, we should get to that. You and I were just chatting the other day about discovering how to discover that there is another, let's just say decision maker, but another person who will have some input on the purchase, whether it's the color or the paint or the scope or
Right.
the price or the company or whatever it is. Right. And let's just say, one of the things you brought up to me is, hey, we're walking around the outside, for instance, an exterior painting job. We're walking around and measuring and talking about what's going on with the exterior painting. And, the piece of paper that you got from the office just says that you're meeting with Johnny. But you notice while you're walking around that Johnny has a wedding ring on. So what are you going to say?
Very similar to the question that I ask is, have you guys decided on a color? Have you, there's you can kind of group your question.
Right.
You group your question, you make them like you're addressing plural.
So, well, yeah, I'm going to let the wife really mainly deal with the color, Joe.
Okay. When do you think it'd be a good time I can come back and show her some swatches or something like that and help her out with that?
She's normally home on Saturday mornings.
Yeah. So you just start navigating that there.
So why not just present the price to Johnny right there on the spot?
Because he's going to have to, if he has to talk to her about the color, I'm sure he's going to have to talk to her about the $12,000 job we're fixing to lay down. Right?
Okay.
And there's a, God, we use the word script so much. There's a tool for that, okay? And the tool is to run the play, get your measurements, and, again, finesse your way into, hey, you know what, Jason? She's probably going to have questions that you and I didn't even think of. When's a good time for me to come back so we can talk about it? And I tell you, 8 times out of 10, it's like, you know what, you're right. And even with the woman, if you're just dealing with the wife, same scenario. He's probably going to have questions that you and I didn't even think of.
Yeah, when it comes to the colors, the products, or the company, or the payments.
She might have notes and all that. And so asking questions can do 2 things. Asking questions is you can get answers, and asking questions can promote questions within them.
That's right.
To realize that they do need that other party there before a decision can be made. If you ask questions and they don't have the answer, that promotes a question.
So guys, if guys and gals out there, if you haven't picked it up yet, the whole reason that we want to uncover is we want to present our solution, our paint job, our roofing, whatever our recommendations are, and our different color options and our price, our full proposal and demonstration. We want to present that to all of the people that have a stake in making that decision. And it's typically a husband and wife, typically. And we want to do that for a number of reasons. Well, the obvious one would be we know that our closing rate is much higher when we get to present to both people. But further, we know that the data suggests, our own data suggests that the likelihood that there will be complications on that project resulting in customer dissatisfaction dropped to almost 0 when we had 2 people at the initial appointment, because we were able to answer everybody's questions, understand everybody's expectations, get it all out on the table, and everybody was on board with not just the price, but the project plan and the expectation. So customers are happier when everybody is at the initial consultation. So that's why we do it, really for 2 reasons: for them and for us.
Protection.
For everybody. It's better for everybody. So Joe, we've talked about personality styles. We've talked about mindset, tool set, skill set, and the last one, let's talk about some positive and negative behaviors of salespeople. Anything come to mind?
A lot comes to mind.
I saw you do it. I saw your mind go at your eyes.
Jason, our goal at Phillips is to be the most trusted home improvement company in Texas. That's our goal.
Yep.
That's how do you measure that? I don't know. We have a lot of accolades. We have just about every accolade that you can have. And for a while we tossed around the word premier, and so I look at the way guys come into work their first day. Do they look like they just rolled out of bed? Do they get up at the crack of 8:10 to get here at 8:30 when they were supposed to be here at 8? I look at things. That's an exaggeration, but when, especially, and my name's not even on the shirt, but because I've been here for a little while, I'm happy to wear my shirt to dinner. I'm happy to, I'm proud of what we do, and I'm glad for the vision. But we need people. I'm going to probably go off, because I'm a great idea, I'm probably going to go off some rabbit trails here. What I look for is who's going to be evangelical about our vision, who's going to be good ambassadors for us. We we provide company vehicles. Just yesterday, their training was to meet at the car wash at 8 o'clock, and everybody needs to wash their vehicle, because we're not going to show up like everybody else in a dirty vehicle. When we get out of the car, we're going to have pressed shirts. We're not going to look like the old California raisins all wrinkled up or wearing a wrinkled up t-shirt. Those kind of things things help you close the deal. They really do. And so, I mean, like, a baby boomer, if a guy shows up already, he or she just might, young man, you need to go home and rethink your clothing. Because if you cannot get out of bed and take care of yours, how are you going to take care of my $1.2 million house? That's the way I think.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the way I think. And I'm a real stickler for our uniform. I think we have a sharp uniform. And I like for it to look good. So just there's a personal aspect of it.
You want people to be all in.
I want them all in, man.
You want them to drink the Kool-Aid.
Well, I don't know about all the, I want them all in. I want them all in, understanding what we're about. When I first came in, Jason, in 2016, there were some B players. We'll call them B players. And man, I was so excited to be here. I work at Phillips on my social media and stuff like that. I said, why don't you put that promo? I think our marketing guy at the time did a promo. So why don't you put that promo on your Facebook page and maybe your friends will. Well, I don't like to put my personal life to interfere with my professional life. I get it. But the first time you call me with the drama, your personal life just got intertwined with my professional life.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm not saying, I just like for people to be all in, man. I like for people to be excited about coming to work. I like for people to be, if I have a smiling dial, our sales managers have a smiling dial. Man, I want them here Wednesday night. I want them calling. I want them to be excited about the promo that we're running, and let's generate some buzz.
So, Joe, what about things like, hey, I'm sitting, you walk in, you see a guy on his computer, and he's looking up his appointments for the day on Zillow. Why would he be on Zillow?
He's probably, majority of the time, he's value judging. And what he's deciding is depending on the time of year, this $150 to $500 a lead that you purchase, he's trying to decide if they deserve his best.
It's exactly what they're trying to do.
Because if the house doesn't look good, then, for many years I drove a 2008 Hyundai minivan. And I promise you, I have the money to pay for an exterior paint job. But if you're going to look at my faded 2008 Hyundai minivan and determine whether I'm going to get your best or not, you're going to lose a sale, right? So you got to run it each and every appointment, you run it the best. I don't know who said it. I wish I would have quoted it, but you run it like it's the first one you got and the last one you'll ever get.
That's right. That's good.
Each and every time.
So what about, Joe, sometimes I want to take off early or get my hair cut. And, as a salesperson, I might want to call and see if that prospect can meet early with me. Is that a big deal?
Now you're trying to get me upset. Are you trying to get me upset? I understand that life happens, and I understand this, but can I tell you something? In 8 years, and I've always had a team of at least 10 to 12 guys, I've never denied anybody some time off. If you need some time off, I'm going to work with you to do that, even if I have to run the appointment myself. But there's a reason why we have 6 o'clock appointments. It's because everybody's going to be there. There's a reason why we have a 9 o'clock appointment on Saturday morning. It's because everybody's going to be there. And our process is on all issued leads, Phillips issued leads. I have a whole document of how we steward appointments, okay? That is an asset that has been invested in you, and you committed to me that you were going to bring me back a return. Committed to you, I say you, and you have committed to do it the Phillips way. If you need a haircut, just call me, but don't rush the appointment. All that to say it's a no-no. It's a big no-no with me. We have an outstanding call center who was working their tails off to get those sets, to get those issues for those guys, to move that to me. And I know sometimes I come across a little harsh, but you're kind of being disrespectful to a teammate who works so hard. Especially because the amount of years you've been in business, we have a large customer base. We have individuals in there calling in here at 7 o'clock at night, calling those people to get us back in the house, and they do it. And for you, out of personal convenience, violate that, and that's the word. It's a violation. That's a word. To violate that, it's just an injustice. It's not good. One of our core values is teamwork.
Well, you set an expectation, then you go reschedule it with them. You're kind of already setting yourself at a disadvantage, even if they say yes.
Yeah.
So,
well, I guess I should have answered it like he did. I went pretty deep, didn't I?
When it's when times are busy and salespeople's calendars are covered up, they tend to cherry pick the easy ones. Mm-hmm. Maybe not give everything its best effort, maybe not follow up as well. Mm-hmm. And then when things aren't busy, the tendency is to sit around and wait on the next lead.
Yeah.
So those, I don't count those as good behaviors. How would you help combat that?
I call that working to get home, not working to get paid. That's what I call it. You work to get home. What you're going to do when you get home, I don't know, or why you want to get home that early, but you work to get home because these are 100% commission guys. I don't get it. That falls under the hunger part of it, and I don't know if you're going to like this answer or not. I can't teach hunger. I can't teach it. I just can't teach hunger. Why somebody wouldn't cloverleaf? We have, many of you guys have seen our little transits. They're little rolling billboards. There's been a billboard sitting on the street for an hour and a half. Why wouldn't you go out and put out some door hangers after, because nosy neighbors been looking, I guess the Joneses are getting their house painted. Why wouldn't you do that? So I can't teach that. I can't teach hunger. Sooner or later, it takes care of itself.
Yeah.
Because they might not produce or make the money they want to make. And then they'll go to the next company and tell them what bad leads we have.
That's right.
Here.
Or what bad management it was.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So guys, there's so much that we can talk about. Just to recap, we've talked about personality style matching. We've talked about the mindset of a salesperson, the tool set, the skill set, and the behaviors. We did not dig deep into any of those.
And we didn't talk about training that guy.
And we didn't talk about training that guy. There's so much, but we're out of time. We're going to have to come back and do this again. By the way, before we go, I should mention that coming up in June, we have a sales training camp that we're hosting, an in-person sales training camp. So if you want to learn more about sales, if you want to get practical tools that you can use to build more sales or more value into your sales presentation, to shorten your sales cycle, increase your price, increase your closing rates, make things predictable, make it scalable and trainable and all of that stuff, then you're going to want to come to this boot camp. Now, we just expanded it, and we expanded our capacity a little bit, so there are a few seats open. Okay. Now, we'll include the link here with the podcast episode, but if you just go to contractorfreedom.live, that's contractorfreedom.live, there will be a link on there for the sales training camp. You can click on that, and of course, hit me up online if you have any questions. But I want you to know, in closing, telling is not selling, as Joe opened with. Selling is asking questions, and that is a truth I learned from
working to get home.
Yeah, work to get paid.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that Joe and I have learned over the years, and we want to share that with you guys because, look, nothing happens till something gets sold. I mean, selling doesn't solve all the problems, but it sure gives you some cash to start working on them. Yeah. Exactly so, Joe, thanks so much for taking time out of your day.
Thank you. I love what we're doing here. I'm excited about the boot camp.
Yeah, me too.
And so thank you. It's springtime, guys. It's sunny and beautiful here in Texas, and I hope your market is flourishing as well, and look forward to seeing you guys in June.
Absolutely. Okay, so two things. One, contractorfreedom.live if you want more information on the sales training camp. And two, would you do me a favor? Would you hit like with this? Maybe even share it with some of your friends that need to connect up with us and learn about these things. God bless you. Go get them. Talk to you next time. Hey contractors, I want to invite you to connect. If you want to get connected with the Contractor Freedom community, simply point your browser to contractorfreedom.live. That's contractorfreedom.live. On there, you'll find the link to our Facebook private group, our page, our newsletter. You'll find a link to our podcast. So I just want to invite you to come on over, join the community. I look forward to getting to know you more. Thanks for listening in today. Ball.